In the last lesson, I showed you how to create a basic HTML document and how to add some content. In this lesson, we'll cover some of the basics of CSS, and I'll show you how to begin styling the content of a web page. So here's the code that we ended up with at the end of the last video. And if we view the page in the browser, you'll see that the styling of the content is very basic. Now we can use CSS to fix that, and in this lesson we'll start by styling the text content, the headings and paragraphs of the page. First, you're going to need to create a new file in your text editor. And it's important that this file is in the same folder as your HTML document. And save the file as styles.css. When it comes to writing CSS, just like with HTML, you're going to be regularly typing some characters that you probably don't usually use that much. So it's important that you know where to find these on your keyboard. The characters you need to look for are the colon, the semicolon, and the opening and closing curly braces. When you know how to type these characters, you're ready to move on. So we've got 3 files in our project folder: an HTML file, a CSS file, and an image file. And we need to join up our HTML and CSS files in some way so that they can work together. We do that by adding some metadata in the head element of our HTML document. So under the title, I'm going to add a link tag with a rel attribute, which stands for relationship. That's got a value of style sheet, and an href attribute that specifies the path to our style sheet. And in this case, that's just styles.css, as the file is in the same folder as our HTML document. And then I'm just going to close this tag with a / and closing angle bracket. Remember to hit save to save those changes. And that's all we need to do to get our HTML document talking to our CSS style sheet. Next, we need to add some styles to our style sheet. I've arranged my windows so that we can see both our code and our live preview at the same time. It's reasonably easy to get started writing CSS code, but you do need to pay close attention to the syntax. Firstly, we'll need to specify a selector that will enable us to target particular elements within our web page. Let's say we want to style our main page heading. We can use the H1 selector to target that element. Now, inside a pair of curly braces, we'll add a style declaration to specify the size our heading text should be. Now you need to be very careful here to make sure that you use the colon and the semicolon in the correct positions. So the colon separates the style property from its value, and the semicolon is used to terminate this particular property value pair, or declaration as it's known. So let's add another declaration. This time we'll set the weight of font that we want to use. A font weight of 600 generally corresponds to a semi-bold weight. And we can do something similar to set the styles of our subheading. Now, let's say we want to set a font face to use for all the text in our page. Instead of creating style rule sets for each element type, we can use the body element as a selector to target all content elements. Let's do this at the top of this style sheet. So I'm using the font family property here, and I'm going to set the family to Helvetica or Arial if the browser or the OS doesn't have Helvetica installed, and if Arial isn't found either, which is unlikely, then we'll use the browser's own default sans serif font face. We can also set a base font size and weight. Oops. And whilst we're at it, we can also set the line height to be used throughout the document. And the colour of our text. Note the US spelling of colour. And here I'm going to pick a colour in brackets. I'm going to use the Command E. Oh, no quick edit available. Okay, if we just type hash, let's try that again. No. Let's try just typing a colour for now. And then what happens if we do Command E? Okay, we get a colour picker. So we need a color name in there first of all to be able to use the color picker. So on a Mac, Command E. On a Windows computer, you'd need to use Control E to bring up this color picker. And I'm just going to pick a dark grey color. I'll go with something like that for now. And we could also pick a background color as well whilst we're at it for the whole page. So if we just, oops, let's just close the color picker and add a background color property, again US spelling, and this time, well, let's pick this one and then let's try Command E, and I'm just going to choose a light. Let's go something around here, a light background color. Okay. So hopefully you've been paying attention to the changes that have been taking place in the live preview here, and you can see now we've got a new font face and font sizes, a background color, we set the line height. So we've made quite a few changes already to the text in the page, but there's obviously plenty more that we could do, and we could make it more engaging and more accessible for users. And we'll take a look at how to do that in future videos. But for now, I'm going to leave this here.